Hi, my name is Anna Telpak, and for my project, I did visual schedules. So classroom behavior management is an essential skill for teachers, and behavior issues are constantly presented to teachers throughout the day and can become disruptive to the whole classroom environment, and a teacher never likes that. An extremely common type of behavior found in the classroom is non-compliant behavior. Many of you probably have seen this. This involves a child's inability to start or complete a task, as well as follow an instruction. It can also include rudeness, talking out with permission, etc. And students with disabilities tend to struggle with non-compliant behaviors more than students without disabilities. Specifically, non-compliance is a common trait that children with autism spectrum disorder, ASD, have. These behaviors cause students with autism, as well as their peers in an inclusive classroom, a tremendous setback in their academic and social success. And a strategy that's used to support on-task behavior is the use of visual schedules, which we have here. So what is a visual schedule? Visual schedules are also known as visual activities, and they inform students of an anticipated sequence of events or tasks using an alignment of pictures, symbols, line drawings, and/or text. And this can tell individuals where they should be and when they should be there. For example, a sequence of clip art pictures representing each subject or activity happening throughout a single day of the week could be placed chronologically on a student's desk. This schedule using particular clip images would be placed on the student's desk on a Monday, then changed every morning as the week rolls along. This way the student will be able to anticipate each subject happening throughout his or her day by looking at the visual schedule attached to their designated desk each morning. Another example could be a sequence of realistic photographs that represent steps involved in the process of maybe washing one's hands. If a student struggles with this everyday task, they can simply use this visual activity to practice and be reminded of the next proper steps. The purpose of a visual schedule is to visually prepare a student for the next activity or next step within an activity or chain of activities. It can also be used to inform an individual of any changes that might occur. Visual schedules are a common behavior strategy used for teaching and improving transition behaviors and on-task behaviors. Students who learn how to become more independent when using these visual prompts, and when visual schedules are used, individuals become less anxious because they're provided structure and predictability. They're aware of what is expected of them, and they are given opportunities to manage their time. These schedules may also be used to increase and maintain a variety of social skills. I reviewed a couple of articles to help support these statements. So visual schedules help with transitions. Switching between tasks and activities can be extremely overwhelming and difficult for kids with autism, and this is often due to the lack of predictability throughout their day, especially when unexpected changes arise. However, a visual schedule aids in reducing difficult behavior that may appear when moving to the next task. This is because visual schedules depict what comes next, and this allows students to anticipate any changes that occur during their day. So the first study that was looked at, one of the studies that demonstrates how visual prompts combined with instruction can improve behavior during transitions. And during this study, a variety of visual supports using real photos and clip art pictures for 2 elementary age boys were evaluated, and both of these boys had autism. The visual supports were used to aid transitions from one activity to the next. These were used both in community and home settings, and the assessment was done using single subject reversed signs, also known as ABAB. Using these visual supports, the data revealed an immense decrease in the latency between the time the students were given instructions and the time they began the next activity. Teacher prompts also decreased significantly with the use of these visual prompts. These results not only demonstrated how visual schedules can help speed up the time it takes for students to transition, but it presents the amount of independence the students gain from a simple visual prompt and definitely lessen the anxiety of the student. Students who use the visual schedules are able to remind themselves what activity, step, thing, etc. comes next without the constant verbal prompts given by a teacher or adult. It allows students to become more independent in the way they take on the day. The use of visual prompts lessens the anxious energy created by unpredictability and lack of structure without the prompts. For the second study, it was also supported the use of visual schedules for transitions, This study involved 3 students with autism that were chosen and given a symbol assessment to see how well they could match objects to photos. The assessment also involved collecting data on the students' communication throughout the process, and 8 sets of highly preferred toys were spread out on around a room. 2 types of photographs were also prepared. The first type were highly context photos, and this means that each photo had one of the toys set at its place. And the second type of photos were no context photos, and this meant that each photo contained the toys without a background. Each background was plain white behind the toys. After the baseline phase, 15 sessions were held with each student, beginning 15 feet away from the designated tables, and the students were prompted that it was time to play and that a specific toy was to be chosen without the visuals. The data collected was based on the number of prompts and how long it took these students to transition. In the next couple of phases, the students were shown certain photographs before being prompted. In comparison to the baseline phase, every student showed a decrease in the amount of time taken for each transition. 2 students showed a bigger decrease using the no context photos, and as for the last student, a greater decrease was shown using the high context photos. Every student showed a decrease in the number of prompts needed to complete each transition. So this study demonstrated the effectiveness of visual prompts used during transition times using context and no context visuals. Visual schedules also help with social skills. Individuals with autism struggle with social interaction skills, and social skills don't come naturally to students with autism and need promoting to help improve social interactions with others around them. Visual schedules are an effective strategy to help students improve these social skills. So the first study that was done, it assessed the use of imitation and visual prompts in group instruction social settings, specifically with block play. The students participating in the study were both at risk for disabilities, students with autism, and students without disabilities. The first intervention occurred with modeling of how the block play would go about for the students. When the students were given this imitation and modeling instruction, every single individual increased their levels of engagement between each other. However, when given visual prompts as well as modeling before allowing the students to interact and play, the students showed an immaculate increase of block play complexity. The students without disabilities practiced block play with greater engagement after the visual prompts, but not as much as the individuals who were at risk or had disabilities. This study and results given not only demonstrated the importance of inclusive classrooms, but how specific instructional practices such as visual prompts and specific instruction can aid all students whether they have a disability or not. The imitation and visual interventions allowed all students to learn and improve their socialization and work skills in such a simple and collective way. It's so simple. Visual prompts can not only provide predictability in schedules and steps of a task, but how to interact and play with others during it. The second study, at the beginning of the study, without the use of modeling and visual prompts, were struggling with the level of interactive play between one another. Once the modeling and visuals were demonstrated, every single student showed an incline of interaction during peer play in the activities. However, it needed to be determined if the intervention of visual prompts was effective or both the visual activities and the extra prompts were the keys to the students' improvement. The same facilitator conducted extra research by gathering 8 students with autism that were again split in 2 groups, just like the first time. The first group was only given prompts without the visuals, while the second group was given both. The groups were then switched using a different activity. After the second part of the study, the results showed that the visual activities were more effective and promoted a higher level of peer interaction than interventions without the use of visuals. This thorough study demonstrated the effectiveness of visual activities along with normal instructional prompts when encouraging better social play with students who have disabilities, specifically with ADHD and autism in this case. Some implications gained from this project in the study. Visual schedules are an effective and simple intervention that can be used by teachers to implement for students with disabilities, specifically autism. Visual schedules can decrease students' anxiety and increase their independence due to the clear expectations and predictability that is given from the strategy. I can't say it enough. Visual schedules can help students learn new skills and serve as reminders for skills that need to be practiced or improved. This visual intervention can also reduce the amount of time that it needs to be taken during transitions. They're effective when trying to teach and encourage social skills in students as well. Through the use of visual prompts, students improve their ability to properly interact and engage in social play with their peers. And students with autism struggle with social skills and deserve the opportunity to learn how to socialize with others because they weren't given that natural social skill. These studies presented also show the importance of inclusion and how simple strategies such as visual schedules can help students with disabilities work and interact and communicate with students without disabilities in the same environment. For future research, the use and effectiveness of visual schedules used for students without autism or any disability could be explored. Students also learn differently whether they have a disability or not, and may gain more from visuals than they do from only verbal instruction. I know that growing up, I struggled in school a lot. I didn't necessarily have a specific disability, but I was such a visual learner that I would love these kinds of things for tasks that were very overwhelming and had a lot of steps. This research could also help emphasize and prove the importance of inclusion and how it could benefit both special education students and general education students. Another possibility for future research could be studying the amount of time it takes for students to fully learn new skills with the help of these visual schedules. And if taking the visuals away once better mastered by the students would change anything. Lastly, research on the effects of visual schedules for students with a different specific disability, such as Down syndrome compared to students with autism, would be interesting to research. So lastly, visual schedules are simple and important intervention that should be understood and practiced by teachers to help reach their students' greatest potential. Not only this, but to help students become more comfortable and independent in their everyday environments. Visual schedules provide a win-win situation. Teachers receive the opportunity to help the students reach their greatest potential with the help of implementing the strategy and become blessed with the improvement in behavior that these visual schedules help instill in their students. All of these aspects combined create a positive and safe environment for learning and constant interaction. Visual schedules or activities decrease the anxiousness and misunderstanding that students with autism can have due to the unpredictability and unclear expectations without these visuals. I hope everybody learned at least one or two things about this, and I actually really enjoyed researching this because I want to be a special education teacher, specifically working with students with autism, so I really enjoyed this project. Thank you for listening. Oh, also here are my resources.